Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Town of Southern Shores Town Council meeting for February the 7th, 2023. Welcome to all of you, our honored guests and our members of our community. Thank you all for coming. If you'll please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. If we'll all just have a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Council, I would like to entertain a motion to excuse Council Member Sherlock tonight from the meeting.
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Council Member Sherlock is unable to be with us due to a schedule conflict. First on our agenda is to get an approved agenda. Does anyone have any amendments? Seeing none, can I have a motion to approve our agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next is the consent agenda. This includes our minutes from our January meeting, a number of small budget amendments, and the approval of the special use permit -22-01 order. Those things are on page 2 and page 7. Any discussion about the consent agenda, Council? Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Thank you very much. We now have a very special presentation, The Wall That Heals, by our very own Commissioner Wally Overman, and also other special guests. Please, whoever's going first, come and join us. Welcome.
Patty.
Madam Mayor and Commissioners, thank you for allowing us here today to introduce to you The Wall That Heals. As you will see, this is an exceptional presentation of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. that will be shown at the Soundside event site in November of this year. We wanted to introduce this to you today and wanted you to be familiar with it if you weren't already. Hopefully, upon seeing this presentation tonight, Southern Shores will choose to support this event wholeheartedly. The Wall That Heals is being brought here through the efforts of the Dare County Veterans Advisory Council. And we have two of those members here tonight, Mr. Rich Probst and Tony Imperiale. First slide, please. There we go. As you can see, the Dare County Veterans Advisory Council was created by the Board of Commissioners in respectful recognition of the service and sacrifice of Dare County veterans as represented in all the branches of the United States military service. Veterans Advisory Council helps Dare County veterans by serving as a liaison with the community and coordinating services and activities benefiting veterans and their families. We're going to show you a short video that shows how the event works. And after the video, Ms. Patty O'Sullivan, who is our Veterans Services Officer, will talk about the event in a little more detail, and then we will answer any questions that you may have. Thank you again for your time and interest.
The Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund many years ago created a replica of the wall that travels to communities around the country that we call the Wall That Heals. This mobile replica really is about taking the names home to communities large and small to allow people to have that same kind of healing experience, to come and show their respect, to remember those 58,000 whose names are on the wall, as well as the 2.7 million Vietnam veterans who served who returned home. It's a chance to look back and pay their respects to those who answered the call of service to their country, especially those who made the ultimate sacrifice.
To be able to take this around to communities that may not even know anything about the wall or the war, especially for the young kids to come out and see these things and get educated on it. People need to know what these 58,000 plus gave their lives for, whether they want to hear about it or not. They need to know.
The experience at the Wall That Heals is as you go from one end in toward the center, the wall actually rises up above you so that it's taller than you are, which is one of the key design aspects of the wall in Washington. As you go down one of the walkways, the wall actually rises above you. And I think that has a psychological impact where you actually understand that there is something important here. It is so large that it creates an emotion of power, and you understand you're supposed to stop. You're supposed to think about it. And in this case, you can read the names, you can see your reflection in the wall, and you have to remember why those names are inscribed. These are people who sacrificed their lives for our country.
I get this feeling in my stomach, the pride that you see. When we went into San Dimas, the kids were all along the streets with their American flags. That always chokes me up because I know what it is to serve this country. And we as Americans sometimes don't understand the cost of war. Hate the war all you want, but don't hate the warrior.
I met a couple of guys here this morning, and one guy, I walked up to him and he started crying already. Man, it makes me feel good. Not that he's crying, but that he's here to have bonding with someone and being able to find his buddy on the wall. It means so much.
Good evening. I'm Patty O'Sullivan. I'm here on behalf of Dare County Veterans Advisory Council to let you know that Dare County was selected by the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund to host the Wall That Heals in November 2023. So why is it important? We feel it's important to bring the Wall That Heals to Dare County since our county, as well as the surrounding counties, are home to several thousand veterans, including those that served in Vietnam. Many of these veterans are disabled due to their exposure to Agent Orange and may never be able to travel to Washington, D.C. Just like the Vietnam Veteran Memorial in Washington, D.C., there are more than 58,000 names on the Wall That Heals. The wall also comes with the Education Center. The Education Center is a tractor trailer that carries the Wall That Heals, and once it's unloaded, turns into their Education Center. It features a timeline and artifacts from the Vietnam War. One of the features it offers is the Wall of Heroes, which were local veterans who died during the war, as well as the In Memory section, which highlights local veterans who served in Vietnam and passed away after they returned, no matter what the cause. The wall is inclusive to honor all Vietnam veterans. There's also an information education tent that will allow visitors to be able to find names of family members or friends who they may have lost, and shows them how to create a rubbing of their name. Our committee has already reached out to the Coast Guard stations in Wanchese and the Oregon Inlet, as well as the Army Recruiting Office in Elizabeth City, to help with the setup and takedown of the wall. All have committed to volunteering. In addition to setup and takedown, we will need several volunteers to staff the wall during its stay here. If anyone is interested, please feel free to have them email me and I will forward the links to them. I have some business cards if you'd like, I could leave here as well.
A business card.
Okay. So here's some more logistics about the wall. When the Veterans Advisory Council expressed interest in hosting the Wall That Heals, 2 of the members accompanied me to see the wall when it was in Garner and for a behind the scenes in Concord, North Carolina. We all felt it was a very moving experience, which reestablished our commitment to bring it to Dare County to share with our veterans. If anybody has any questions?
Is there any particular timeline on?
The
signing
timeline?
up to be a volunteer?
Oh,
What's the process, so?
The wall comes into the Outer Banks on the 14th of November. It gets set up on the 15th, and then the 16th is the actual opening day. So the wall is open 24 hours a day, so we need volunteers to be able to basically be there to stand around and answer any questions people have, point them in the right direction. So I actually have volunteers, so that they ask for 6-hour shifts, but if people can't do 6 hours, that's fine as well. So we're just, that's really, it's just to be there to answer questions and help out directing people around, where to park, helping them with the rubbings. It's all done. They have site managers that come with the VVMF that will run the tours, but everything else is done by volunteers. Okay.
Will there be refreshment concessions?
No, there are no concessions. No, it's only the wall, and then there's a separate memorial for those that passed when they came home due to Agent Orange exposure. And then they have the information tent, which you can do the rubbings, and the education center. But there's nothing to be sold, and there's no food or anything like that. We will have stuff for our volunteers because we have to in our tent, water and snacks and stuff like that. But other than that, for the visitors, no, there's nothing for them to buy.
This is going to be quite a ceremony. We have, how many motorcycles?
Oh, we have over 200 motorcycles and Jeeps for the procession already.
And they're going to start in Plymouth. And we've got, I think it's going to be over 100 Jeeps that are going to join the procession. And the plan right now is to come to Wanchese, or
Oh.
not Wanchese, to Mans Harbor, take a left and come across the old bridge. And
Through
everything is-
Manio.
Everything is set up for Manio for them to just come straight through. Lights are all green. There'll be flags hanging. It's going to be quite something. We're planning on videoing that with drones and put together a video presentation of it. We also are hopeful that we can put together as part of the opening ceremony, which will be the next full day, is when we'll do the opening
The
ceremony.
16th. Mhm.
And we're planning on having a 21-gun salute, which would be kind of nice.
Yeah, we'd like to have a ceremony also for one of the evenings, like a candlelight ceremony honoring those that passed as well.
And we'll be
All of them.
presenting the same presentation to all the towns. We did Nags Head last week. We'll get the rest of the towns done and also present it to the Board of Commissioners. Any donations that are made to the wall will help bring the Wall That Heals to Dare County, as well as support Dare County veterans through the Veterans Advisory Council. We have had a pledge from KDH already, and Dare County Board of Commissioners just voted last night to make a donation to it. And everyone's welcome to donate. There will be, right now, Public Information is working on a website for us that we'll put up that will have a ton of information on it. I think that's going to also have the volunteer.
Right, it'll have the links for the volunteers. It's a dedicated website strictly for the wall, Dare County, the Wall That Heals.
But will that be on the county's website?
Yes. There'll be links to get to anything. And if you all have questions individually or whatever, call Patty or call me and we'll get the answers for you. And if you would like for us to come back at any time during the course of the year, we'll be happy to do that as well.
Will we be promoting that on the Dare County Television as well on the
Yes, sir.
GAC?
Yes, sir. It's going to be. This is the last stop. This thing is starting, the wall is starting in California, I think it is, or Arizona, somewhere out that way. And it's coming all the way across the country. And we are, in fact, Dare County is in fact the last stop.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, the site managers have already, we're like the hottest spot to be able to work at for the site managers. Everybody wants to be in the Outer Banks. So I found that out last week. That was pretty nice to hear.
Well, this whole effort just sounds extraordinarily impressive to me, and we have a significant population of veterans here in our town, and I'm sure that our local veterans and families will be in support of this very impressive effort. And thank you all for telling us about it. I'm looking forward to it.
And it's really important that we get the word out too for people to be able to see. So I'll be reaching out for like any kind of newsletters to just try to get people to find out other than social media.
Sure.
We have, what was the number of veterans in the county? Would you say
We have like
5,000?
over 5,000.
I know a number.
Thank you all again so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you so
Don't
much.
Forget your card, Patty.
Oh, yeah, I'll leave them back on the table. Is
okay.
that
Yeah,
okay?
that's
Thank
great. Wonderful. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Presented this at the tour. This is 10 years ago.
So next on our agenda are our staff reports. So we'll start with our Deputy Town Manager, Planning Director, Mr. Wes Haskett. Good evening, Wes.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, members of council. For January, for permitting, we had a total of 49 permits that were issued. Those consisted of 6 zoning permits, 1 lot disturbance, stormwater management permit, 22 building permits. 4 of those were for new construction, 19 trade permits, and 1 sign permit. The total amount of fees we collected in January was $18,492.10. With respect to Marshalls, they've been working on the sprinkler system inside Marshalls. There was a test that was run today, and the building inspector will be meeting with the contractor again tomorrow to go over the test. And Rack Room, another contractor has applied for and been issued the permits for Rack Room to do the upfit. Ashland Construction, the ones doing the work on Marshalls and the shell of Rack Room, they're doing everything for Marshalls, but Rack Room, Ashland is only building the shell. And then another contractor is going to be doing the work inside of Rack Room. So that permit has been issued. I don't think they plan on starting anytime in the immediate future. We haven't really heard from them, but we will see what the timeline is. With respect to the town's land use plan update, the consultant attended the January 24th special planning board meeting and presented the survey results and draft goals. The next steps for the consultant are to refine the goals, develop recommendations in the future land use map further, and continue plan development. And lastly, the town planning board will be meeting on February 22nd here in the Pitt Center at 5 o'clock. The purpose of the meeting is for the board to continue discussion of potential commercial design standards, and the boards may also begin discussing additional requirements for accessory structures that contain living space. Any questions?
I wanted to ask about the land use plan update survey results. Is there any plans for us to share that out with the community in an easily acceptable manner?
The PDF, they're all posted as a PDF on the website.
Okay.
They were posted immediately or shortly thereafter they were available,
Okay,
around January 9th or 10th, I believe.
okay,
But the link is there. It's a PDF. They can all be viewed, the results themselves, as well as the, 30, 25 pages of comments,
Okay.
somewhere, maybe more. But if you want us to distribute them in some other method, maybe we could put a link in the newsletter saying
yeah, I
that
think
they can
having
be viewed here.
a little flag in the newsletter so that people, have another opportunity to see that they are available
Yeah,
would be a
maybe-
great idea.
Put it in the newsletter with a link to that.
Mhm.
Sure. Yes, sir. Yes,
That's
ma'am.
great, thank you. It was an impressive number of folks that participated in our survey, and also an impressive number of comments that were provided by folks who took the time to write the comments.
A lot of comments.
Yeah.
Interesting comments.
Yeah, so that's great. And on Marshalls, I noticed a slightly different traffic pattern. Looks like the way you can drive in front of like Cosmos and down to the eye doctor.
So as the work in the parking lot has progressed, they've been able to expand more and more of what was previously used in the parking area and the access in the front. So as the modifications to the parking area are made, they've been able to move the fence around to allow more access to those other businesses.
Right.
Make it easier for folks to get in and out of there.
Yeah, exactly. Great to see the progress, for sure. Anyone else have comments or questions for Wes? Thank you so much.
All right.
Appreciate the updates. Chief Cole, good to have you with us tonight.
You've been a busy guy.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. The January 2023 monthly report, I can't guarantee you that it's completely accurate. We're using the new Dare County CAD Flex system, and I'm trying to be nice here. It's got a lot of problems. We have a major meeting with all the other police departments to try and iron out a lot of the problems with it tomorrow on Kill Devil Hills. So while I'm giving you these numbers, I'm not signing my name to it. It's the best Jennifer worked really hard. Tried to get up with Kitty Hawk, some of the other ones, and they just gave up and said they don't have a report. So some of this is taken from the old system that we're running side by side, but some of it's from the new system because the CAD part of it we have to use. I'm confident that we will eventually get it fixed. I just don't think it's going to happen for a while.
Chief, is that because you got the different town police departments want to be able to interact in terms of data, or what's the purpose behind the county system?
It was set up backwards. I went through this in 1985. We had user groups that met, and we all decided and worked all the bugs, most of the bugs. I understand you're going to have bugs, but when we spend over $100-some thousand and we don't even have access to our own system, that's a problem for me to explain to you.
Okay.
So a lot of it's the way it was implemented. Even Motorola has told us for the 2 or 3 hours that they actually gave us training, said that they'd never seen it set up like this before. So in all fairness, we're going to try and work it out with Dare County. And I'm confident that we will. It's just not going to happen overnight.
Is that program that was designed by a third party, or was it designed by the county?
It's a Motorola system, but Dare County has complete access to it. And we're finding out that we don't have access to a lot of stuff we thought we were going to. So we're working on it.
Okay. Thank you.
Run your dual system.
Yeah, it will be eventually. We just have to be patient, that's all. So anyway.
It's not preventing you from doing the day-to-day work of the city, is it?
No, we're struggling, but we're trying to keep track of the way we're trying. But
Getting the information you need when you need it.
yeah, what we're doing is when the officers do it in the new system, they've been directed to also print a copy of it out.
Okay.
Jennifer's putting it in the old system that we're running side by side, so that we'll at least have that as a backup for now anyway. Calls for service for January, 1,110. You can see the breakdowns down below. Under the incidents, which were the actual crimes that were reported for January, we had 27 of those for a total of 36 offenses. 13 of those were the B&Es. 2 false pretense. We had 4 damage to property. We had 1 that was drug related, 3 with drug equipment. Then there was a speeding to elude, the CNR, which is careless and reckless for traffic. And we had 5 call-outs for the canine, and several of those resulted in successful location of drugs on vehicles, not just with Southern Shores, but we've assisted Kitty Hawk and some of the other agencies. And 2 warrant services. We had 3 criminal arrests, which resulted in 7 total charges. 1 for the drugs, 3 drug equipment, the careless and reckless, and 2 for the traffic related. Officers issued 11 citations that were actual written citations for a total of 15 charges, and then another 46 warning citations. We had 0 ordinance violations. Let's just put it this way, our officer didn't see any violations. I'm sure there were. And our community resource officer is off until summer. And we had 3 motor vehicle accidents for the month of January. Questions, comments?
Any comments on the action that was in the Voice today of finding a few people that had broken into stuff on Chickahawk and whatever?
More to come.
Okay.
They were all juvenile so far, and we're still doing interviews, and we're actually still getting calls on property that's been entered that people didn't even know that it had happened. So, yeah.
You may not be able to answer this question, but I'll ask. Were they the parents or whatever residents of Southern Shores, or were they from some other town?
Stay tuned.
Okay.
Stay tuned.
Well, the most you can say is no.
Stay tuned.
Stay
Well,
tuned.
That's a
The next
political
news
one.
release will give you a lot more information, but that'll be in a week or 2. We get a lot more interviews
Okay.
to do, and we have to be very careful. They're
Yeah, I
juveniles,
know you do.
unfortunately. So, thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes.
Chief Limbacher? Welcome, Ed. Good to see you
Never
tonight.
hurts to ask. And I will ask.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. So quickly for the month of January, relatively short report, typical or slow time of year, but 43 calls for the month. And pretty simply, 1 chimney fire, 1 brush fire, 1 excessive heat, which was actually a fan motor burned up inside of steamers, 28 EMS calls, 1 lockout where a kid actually locked himself in the car. Hazardous condition, 1 explosive ordinance, which was the Spindrift Trail call that we all talked about, 1 service call, 1 animal rescue, which was actually a cat on a upper deck they couldn't get off, 1 cover up, 5 dispatch and canceled en route, and 1 alarm activation. Again, fairly simply, and we're about 9 calls behind last year, so pretty typical of this time of year. Any questions on that report there? I do have a end of year report that I do every year. Sheila, if you want to give me the keyboard there. And I'll try not to repeat too much, but I like to take this opportunity just for the new people to always school them up, so. If I'm repeating for some of you that know in council, I apologize, but, so let's go through real quick. Our mission always to provide the highest quality of service for incident stabilization and courage for our members. What we do, we're an all hazards agency. We do everything, car accidents, structure fires, EMS calls, service calls, anything and everything. When people don't know what to do, they actually call the fire department because they don't have any other support system here. Just some pictures from this year. This is kind of interesting. While structure fires are only at 6%, alarms are at 12, and service calls are at 12. EMS calls are at 63, which is about the average if you look from 2007 all the way up. You can see calls are steadily increasing, but EMS stays about 60%. Sometimes it might be 58 or 66, but it's about the same. And then in 2022, 763 calls. Quick breakdown. So 763 is the second highest for the department since we've been keeping records. And just to break down the categories, I'm not going to go through all of them, but some are noted are the 44 structure fires for the year, which is kind of high for us. And that's, of course, mutual aid as well. And then the 481 for the medical responses. And then, of course, the 90 for the alarms during the summertime. So, again, 763. The Dare County Emergency comms report. This is just to show that of course, backing up my numbers that are accurate, but also to show that we are fourth in the county. So keeping in mind, we're ahead of Collington, we're ahead of Duck, and we're ahead of Station 21, all paid crews. And by Duck, we're 200 calls ahead of them. So you really got to appreciate our volunteer system and the money we're saving. And we're running more calls than paid companies. So I think we just need to, our people are really doing a good job, and I appreciate all their time and dedication. So department training, we train Tuesday and Thursday nights. Most people know that already. We also do maintenance on Saturdays from 8 to 10. Our members train 8 hours a week, 32 hours a month, which is more than any other department in Dare County. And we also pay for outside training, which any member chooses to take, firefighter 1 and 2, EMT, whatever, we encourage that, obviously. And many of our members have taken them and continue to take them. So that's why you see a lot of our members using us as a launching pad. Christian Dick just got hired in Virginia Beach and is leaving Duck to go to Virginia Beach. Another one of our guys is in Chesapeake. We have people in the EMS field, Kitty Hawk, Duck. So we have kind of everywhere. And they still stay with us, which I feel kind of fortunate. So they feel a loyalty to us since we helped them. Quick video. I tried not to make it too long this year. So I didn't pick the music, by the way. So this is just a cachet of everything we did this year. So.
Very nice.
Very good. Just a
Cheers.
brief overview on what we did. So it's kind of better than me just talking about it. It makes it a little more personal to do it. But moving on, so the personnel departments, and this, I looked at this last year, it was 54, so we're 52 this year. It basically stays the same as hard as we try. It still is always about 50. So whenever someone asks me, I'm like 50. That's what it always is. We're about 52. Of course, myself, Matt, 2 part-time admin, 30 firemen, or 30 firefighters, 30 male, 30 total with 2 females, sorry. Additionally, there are 18 support and then 10 life members that are on the rolls. Really just a crosshatch of this, our community, you know, teachers, EMS providers, college students, the whole 9 yards, which the college student thing is really interesting because they're always at the station in the daytime, which I love because they're doing homework, but they're there in case we get a call, so it's good. Obviously, team to support it. None of us here can do it alone. Anywhere from NAG's Head to us to Corolla, where if we have a good fire, a, you know, working fire, everybody's there, so we can't do it alone. So again, what it takes to become a volunteer, you don't have to be certified through the state. You can do a 40-hour program through us, and we'll teach you everything you need to know. Extrication, hoses, appliances, communications, everything. All you need to do is maintain 36 hours a year and then respond when available. So you can just see some recent pictures. The middle one was when we did an active shooter thing with Brinkley and I always call him Diener. I'm sorry, I forget his first name. Oh, no, it's Richard. I can't remember. But anyway, so again, always just want to bring this up to people, and this is an old slide, but I always like to keep it in mind because this game is very, very difficult. And if you can look through nationally, it's the volunteer system is very hard to keep going. I think we're fortunate here, but of course, increased regulation, challenging training, economic reasons, all that kind of stuff. But in particular, the high cost of living in Southern Shores housing is just, I mean, I don't know how these young guys are going to do it, but hopefully we'll just keep going. Of course, personal reasons, demographic changes, less retirees, you know, can't respond during work, that kind of thing. Things we do well is we equip our members with the best and safest equipment and apparatus, which is good support through you guys, which we appreciate. We keep current on technological advances, and our environment is inviting to our new members. What we can do together, we can protect our families, protect our investments, raise awareness, but most importantly, volunteer. This is an interesting one, the internship with the high school. I want to talk about this a little bit. I always had my fingers in the high school, and not as deep as I really wanted to because I had too many things on my plate. But Matt, the deputy chief, has really taken it to a new level through the college. If those of you who don't know, Matt is the COA liaison for the college for the Firefighter 1 and 2 Academy, which is great for us because everything has to run through the 12 house. So with that, he's taken it the whole internship to a new level where he's went into school and made it so when these kids come out of school, they'll be employable the second they graduate, which fits in with kind of Dare County's wanting to keep the kids here, have the college campus here. We're training them to be public safety so they can come out and be employable immediately. I think it just started the 13th, or it started this week. Next week is the first full day. They were at the station yesterday afternoon, just getting kind of accustomed to the station. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. I have high hopes for that. And of course, expanded relationships. We've all seen this before, presence in social media, protection class 3, which is always a plus. Just recruiting, maintaining all volunteer system as long as we can. Highest safety standards, obviously, and continue to provide exceptional service. So pretty straightforward. Most of you have seen it before, but I like to take the opportunity every year to just bring it back up. And I just really feel fortunate with our volunteer guys. And a lot of our people are, it used to be where they were all 60 and 70 years old, and the pendulum has actually swung the other way where they're all 25 and 30. So, I mean, we're very fortunate to have some of these young kids, and they stay with me. I don't know what the reasoning is. I'm hoping it's out of loyalty, but but they stay with me even when they, you know, we have people in NAG's Head, everywhere on the beach, just about every organization is one of our guys that are here, that started here. So I feel real fortunate we're keeping them. So any questions on any of that?
Chief, I just can't thank you all enough. And on behalf of the council, the town, our community, the amount of volunteer hours, the training, the community outreach, the education, I mean, the service, it's just over the top, you know, impressive. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Next on our agenda is our town manager, Cliff Ochburn. Good evening, Cliff.
Let's see, I wanted to start off by talking about the Trinity Trail Juniper Culvert replacement. I had intended to have before you the contract for you all to approve with Kimley Horn to go ahead and start permitting and designing this. We have that, they've submitted that contract to us, and as staff, we went through and we reviewed this, and last week as we're going through, there's actually 12 tasks associated with this scope of work in this contract. And when we started talking about the roadway design, we kind of tapped the brakes and thought, have we done enough to ensure that if there's an opportunity to lower the height of this bridge and get a better sight distance and to lessen the approach going up to this cord slab bridge, we needed to make sure we didn't feel like we had done all that we could. In the proposal that Kimley Horn submitted, I think back, I guess in September, or the options, they presented you with 3 different alternatives. At that time, they noted that minimizing the length of the bridge, they were able to limit the overall roadway impacts by reducing the amount of overall roadway length needing grading. But went on to say the bridge height and likewise the vertical canal opening was set to maintain the existing vertical clearance and the existing pipe arch. Reason being, they felt like based on past experience, it would be very difficult to get the Coast Guard to agree to allow us to lower this, and it wasn't a viable option at the time. But if go back, if you would. So that's this. Obviously, that's what's there now, and there's a big hump. Everyone knows a big hump in this in the middle of the road. And go to the next one. If we can kind of squeeze that hump down and level it out, then and drop that elevation of the bridge, then we're going to also drop the elevation running up to that bridge. This isn't exactly what it's going to look like, but if you go to the next one. So the picture looking south, if you can see that red line, they show this, and this is actually right from their presentation. That's going back to Gum. It's not
Sweet Gum.
Sweet Gum. That is where the elevation, as if we left the elevation of the bridge now, that's where it would start. That's where it would start to rise. If you can think of a doorstop, a wedge in the doorstop, that's where that would start. And what if you look at it going north, I didn't want you all to be, or anyone to be standing or driving at that location, looking up at that big concrete slab I showed you just before, and ask me, why didn't you try to get this thing lowered? And so, I mean, this, we're talking 20, 30, 40, 50, hopefully years that this slab bridge is going to stay there. And so we felt like we needed to kind of tap the brakes to make sure that we had lowered that elevation. Now, the next one's a bit dramatic, and the next slide. So the one at the top shows the car going up. I'm trying to get that car to level out. And if we do that, I think, again, it's just going to be more aesthetically. I mean, that concrete slab is going to be a lot different than the earthen mound that's there now. And so it's part to level it out, and part also for the aesthetics of it. Drew Pearson, the emergency management director, is retired Coast Guard, and he was able, through his connections, he was able to put us in contact with the chief of the bridge division for our region of the Coast Guard. And he supplied us with a bridge project questionnaire that is something that we're filling out now. And this will tell the Coast Guard whether or not, based on this questionnaire, they can determine whether or not there's an exception from requiring a Coast Guard permit. If we can get that done, it'll be worth the while. We feel like we have to drop it at least 2 feet to make it worth the effort. All that being said, we hopefully have this back before you, if not at your mid-month meeting, and at least in the first meeting in March, to go ahead and get this thing under contract. But I did want to take a minute to explain why we were in a delay.
So you said a minimum of 2 feet drop. What would be the ideal drop?
Well, we have to consider the boat traffic, obviously,
Yeah,
on
that's what I was-
the other side of this. We've got a list of all the property owners on that side, and we reach out to them. We can find out, how this would impact them. But if we could get 4 feet down, I think,
Okay.
that would still give 8 feet at least of clearance,
Clearance.
which, and it's going to be wider. Remember, it's going to be wider, but we think it can accommodate those you going under this bridge, but we'll make sure of that.
Okay.
Okay. Next, I wanted to shift to beach nourishment. The sand fence contractor has a lot of work still to do. This is taken a few hours ago, and the sand fence remaining to be placed along the beach. The contractor told me today he thought he could be done this month. I don't believe him, but hopefully he'll prove me wrong. But that's a lot of sand fence to get out in a short period of time, but that's proceeding on. We're still planting the beach grass. Our thanks to the volunteers, thanks to the public works staff. We're still taking volunteers. Anyone willing to help and wants to come spend a day or two planting beach grass, you can contact us at Town Hall. As far as our project goes, mobilization is set to be a 7-day period of mobilization in March. I don't exactly know when that will start. We should get about a week's notice, at least a week's notice before they start to mobilize. They'll once they mobilize, they'll go straight to Duck. They'll do that project. They'll come back in May and start the demob process, and then that's when they'll put the 37,500 cubic yards on our beach. They have a drop dead, got to be done, got to be mobilized, got to be out of here no later than June 15th. Once they start, we'll have the survey crews will come back, they'll resurvey our beach, we'll design a new template, and we'll start the project from there. So that, I think, is where we are with beach nourishment. Next one, I'll just show you, we've got, those are the Christmas trees that are stacked up now at Hillcrest. We'll be getting those out on the beach to try and augment the sand fence and maybe get them in between. That's something our public works staff is going to do. We think we can knock that out on our own. And then lastly, I just wanted to, we're asking for a February workshop meeting really to start dive into the budget. Town staff they're going through their budgets now. They're preparing them. These are some of the things we want to talk about. I wanted to go ahead and get this in front of you so you can add to or maybe even take away from some of these items. But of course, we'll look at revenues. We'll look at year-to-date expenditures. Need to take a look at now that we've paid for a couple of years payments, and the nourishment project is a couple of months from hopefully being completely paid. We want to present to you a list of streets for paving, discuss stormwater projects, go ahead and get the salary and benefits discussion out there, and also to let you know we're doing a 2-year budget. Obviously, you can't adopt a 2-year budget, but the second year would just be a plan. Direction there was staff was going to present to you with all things being equal, no unforeseen mandates from the state. This is what our expenditures would be projected in year 2. And then also Public Works is getting the quotes now for the work to get that, the improvements, the conditioned space, the break room, the conference room, the bathroom, all that stuff for Public Works. And we hope to have that in front of you for budget approval. So that's what I got.
Very good. Any questions for Cliff?
Nope.
Thank you,
Good.
sir.
Thank you.
Great update. Appreciate it. Philip, anything for us tonight? Nothing to report. We're glad you're here. Anyway,
The ruling on the
When your
bridge.
attorney has less things to say, it's a good thing.
absolutely. We appreciate it.
Ruling on the bridge is still waiting, huh?
We'll let you guys know as soon as it comes down, but it could be 2 months, Could be next month, could be 6 months. So no news is no news.
Thank you, Philip. We now have general public comment. Has anyone signed up? Anyone here would like to comment, even though you haven't signed up? Going, gone. Okay. We'll move on to new business.
No business in there.
Because there's no old business. So planning board appointment, page 20, folks, council. Let's see, Wes, are you going to handle this for us?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Miss Linda Burek, planning board member, resigned on January 16th. Historically, the town council has appointed an alternate, usually first alternate, to fill a vacant position created on the planning board. So in this case, that would be Miss Jan Collins. She has indicated that she's willing and able to serve as a regular member on the board. So we recommend that she be appointed to fill the vacancy created by Linda Burek's resignation.
Very good. Council, any questions or comments for Wes?
Nope.
How do you fill her spot since she was an alternative?
We'll be
We'll take our
posting a
candidates.
recruitment
Yeah, they recruit.
announcement, right, for volunteers?
We
to-
did, yeah. We sent out in the last newsletter, we have a vacancy on the planning board as well as the town's historic landmarks commission. So anyone who's interested, feel free to contact our office or go to the website and fill out the application and submit an application for either board.
Okay.
Yeah, please, anyone interested in serving, let town staff know. Thank you very much. Okay. Council, I'll entertain a motion to appoint Jan Collins as a regular member on the town planning board.
I move to appoint Jan Collins as a regular member on the town planning board.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Wes. Next, I will turn it over to our attorney for a public hearing on ZTA 2301.
Thank you. I now open a public hearing for ZTA 23-01, a zoning text amendment application submitted by the town of Southern Shores to amend the town code section 36-37, definition of specific terms and words. This time I'll call whomever west of the podium to explain the ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Warnthal. The next item on y'all's agenda is ZTA-2301, as the town attorney just explained. It's section 36-57, definition, specific terms and words. And as you all recall, we have been periodically amending our zoning ordinance to be consistent with North Carolina General Statute 160D. This is the latest zoning text amendment that we were bringing before you all for 160D consistency. And essentially, 160D-706 states that when adopting regulations under this article, a local government may not use a definition of building, dwelling unit, bedroom, or sleeping unit that is inconsistent with any definition of those terms in another statute or in a rule adopted by a state agency, including the state building code. So the ZTA includes definitions for bedroom, building, and dwelling unit. Dwelling unit is a revised definition. Building is a revised definition. And all three of those terms come from the 2018 Residential Building Code, Chapter 2 definitions. The definition of dwelling, that definition comes from 160D 102-15. Those are where definitions are found in that chapter. So we recommend approval of the ZTA. The planning board recommended approval of the ZTA 5-1 at their January 24th special meeting. If you have any questions, I can try to answer them.
I was just going to ask generally, do you see any impactful change from the way you've been doing business for all your tenure here with the town in terms of applying these definitions?
I do not. I have not found any potential issues at this point.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you, Wes.
In dwelling, it gets, I was a little confused here where it goes through and means, and then the second sentence is the term does not include any manufactured home, mobile home, or recreation. Manufactured home is, can you define that a little bit for me?
Define a manufactured home, that would be a, what some folks refer to as a single wide or double wide trailer.
Are we referring to then as it as a trailer or, I think we've had a couple or some homes built where they brought them in on a
Or,
trailer.
I mean, or also a modular
No.
home. But if you recall, we had to amend our ordinance to allow for manufactured homes. They're allowed in the R1 district, which may or may not ever happen, but
Okay.
we do allow for manufactured.
I just, seemed to, that one part it defines what they are, and then we went to the next sentence of what the same ones couldn't be here.
Right.
That was confusing to me.
Yes, sir. And the definition of bedroom, if you read it, it doesn't seem to make sense either, but that,
Yeah.
it comes from, it's directly from the building code.
It's from the state, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Well, just because it comes from the state doesn't mean it's always
Well, of course not.
legible or understandable.
Well, understandable. Of course not.
That's all I got.
Yes, sir.
Is there anyone signed up to speak on this issue tonight? Is there anyone that would like to speak on this issue tonight? I will now close the public hearing, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, sir. So council, I will entertain a motion. Uh-oh. Let me get the wording right.
22.
Motion to approve ZTA 2301 as presented by staff tonight.
I'll make a motion to approve ZTA 2301 as presented by the staff and in compliance with the state.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion further? Hearing none, I'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
MRI. The next one is 28.
Next is the Martins Point ETJ transfer discussion, and it's on page 28 in our books, Council. Cliff, did you want to lead us in this one? Wes is going to handle it. Thank you, sir. Wes, we're getting
You're getting your work out.
the work
tonight.
out here. Thanks, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Currently, the town exercises extraterritorial jurisdiction over the Martins Point commercial properties. These are the 10 developed lots that are, as you go into the entrance to the Martins Point residential community, the commercial properties, they fall under the town's extraterritorial jurisdiction, meaning they're not in the town's corporate limits, but they're subject to our development requirements. When you have an ETJ, a municipality, one member in the ETJ areas in the county, our planning board has to have an ETJ member on it that is appointed by the county. In this case, Mr. John Finelli, and he's a Martins Point resident, which you're required to be. He has brought up and is proposing to transfer or relinquish the ETJ in the Martins Point commercial area. If that were the case, it would fall back under Dare County's land use regulation. The town planning board discussed this at their December 19th meeting, and they voted unanimously to recommend approval of that transfer, or relinquishment is the correct terminology. So tonight, we are just asking for your input or your guidance as to how to proceed. If you all would like to move forward with this, then we would draft the ordinance to bring back to you all. We would take the ordinance to the planning board first for a recommendation, and we bring it back to y'all. Also involved is we would want to be in communication with the county to make sure we're taking any steps that we want to take with them. Because let's say you all do adopt an ordinance to do this, the county's commercial properties or the Martins Point commercial properties would remain under town regulation for either 60 days or whenever Dare County adopts their zoning requirements that would apply to that area, whichever is sooner. So we would want to coordinate this all with them if we do want to move forward with it. So tonight, we're just asking if you all would like for us to move forward in drafting an ordinance to relinquish the ETJ over the Martins Point properties. Commercial properties. Included in your packets were a letter from Mr. Finelli. He was unable to be here tonight. The Dare County Planning Board, he's on that board, meet on the same night of our regular meetings. And it explains a little bit of the history and some of his thinking behind, why he is proposing this now. So I can't speak for him, but I can try to answer any questions y'all might have about this or the process.
Has there been any preliminary discussions with the county as to what their feeling would be of taking it or being responsible?
Yes, sir. Well, the town manager has brought it up with the county manager, Mr. Outen, and he did not indicate that there were any issues with it. Mr. Finelli has indicated, and I think he said in his letter that he had discussed it with Chairman Woodard as well as the Dare County Planning Director, Noah Gilliam, and they said that they didn't have any objections to it.
Okay.
And I was going to point out that in John Finelli's letter, he indicates that he went and talked to as many of the commercial property owners as he could.
Right.
And about 60% have responded that they are in favor of the move and none are opposed. So just to get a feel for what those property owners, that they were okay with this.
Correct.
I really think it's what needs to happen. Southern Shores just doesn't really need to play a role over there. It's the county.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
Any further questions, discussion? So you need a motion from us to direct town staff to prepare an ordinance to relinquish extraterritorial jurisdiction over the Martins Point commercial properties.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay.
Is that
So
it?
motion has been made. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Very good. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, staff, very much. All right. Anyone signed up or now changed their mind and want to comment, general public comment, now that they've had a few more minutes to think about it? No? Okay. Let's see. Council business, go ahead and get that out of the way. I'll start with we have a mid-month meeting that our town manager already had talked about. It's scheduled for February 21st. It's a workshop meeting, so it'll be at 9 a.m. here in this building. Council business, Matt?
Don't have anything to add.
Okay. Leo?
Well, I'll update you again on where we are with the tourism board. Last month, I reported October was off. November picked up. So November occupancy collections was up 63%, and the current year to date is 6.8%. And meals for November was up 60%, and the current year to date increase is 6.3%. Although those numbers sound good, the only one that's really of the categories that are measured, property management was the only one that showed any lengthy or large increase. Everybody else was showing decreases. Also, January was the first meeting of the year for the tourism board. And that's when new people come on and new officers get elected. So the steering committee or the leaders of the group is the chair is Tim Cafferty. Vice chair is Monica Thibodeau. Secretary is David Hines. Treasurer is Irvin Bateman. Assistant treasurer is Ivy Ingram. Personnel committee chair is Dennis Robinson. Now, when you're on that board, there's 4 committees, and you have to choose which one you would like to serve on, and then the chair will appoint whatever. So I'm on been appointed to the Budget and Finance Committee and the Personnel Committee. And we had, there was a town hall meeting as well to review our plans for the 10 or 20-year plan that we've been talking about, which had pretty good turnout up here. So we're looking, the consultants now got to have to put all that together for us. And that'll get shared with everybody in the county. That's my report.
Thank you, Leo. Mark?
Yeah, the only thing is the government access channel, we had a meeting this month in Manio, and there's a video coming out on e-bikes and how to ride them, which we pushed some time ago, but it's a bigger problem than everybody thought. It really is. So we're pushing hard on that. And then they're going to do a video. Last council meeting, we had a presentation on a new playground for Kitty Hawk Elementary, and it was suggested that they were going to work on that as well. They are. They're going to work on that as well and get a video out. That was a great presentation. And a video on a playground for handicapped kids at school. That school is in our neighborhood, in our town. So that's it.
Very good. Thanks, Mark.
Okay.
Okay, so on our agenda is a closed session. So I always get confused, but so we need a motion to adjourn.
No.
No, motion to go to closed session.
yeah.
So moved. And a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And we will
Recess.
for about 5 minutes.
Okay, that's
And
good.
Let everybody,
Thank you for coming.
thank you for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
See you, Jenny.